All right. Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? So nice to be with you here this morning. Grab a coffee or tea or water, calorie-free beverage of choice. We join in a little fasting space this morning and dive in on this little topic. You don't have to eat to lose weight. Doing a lot of reflecting this week on helping everybody get in the best mindset for accomplishing a weight loss goal, and spend some time thinking on this with you here. And I'd be happy to hear questions, reflections you have. Christy is with us here. Good mornings. I hope you are doing well. And Jen is here. Good morning to you also. I hope everything's going well for you. Hope the summer is wrapping up well. This has been on my mind as I'm getting ready for... I got 2 kids I'm sending back to school, and we're getting everything up and rolling. And I was thinking, man, they don't make summer like they used to. It just flies by. So I was thinking this week, I was making a list. I guess I didn't write it down here. I was trying to write out like every different diet that I could think of. And I think about how the focus of weight loss, okay, it's on dieting. And dieting is like, everybody wants to sell a book that is like, oh, you just eat these things and then everything is going to be, great. And so make your own list, or at least a mental list. Are there diets that you have done or dietary, even philosophies of eating that you have done or kind of leaned into? So I was thinking, like, okay, there's like a whole range from like, I think when I was, so, I'm a child of the 80s. I feel like I was growing up in this era that was like ultra low fat, every product low fat. And so we have a whole zone, low-fat dieting, and then there's a season, like low-protein dieting, and then obviously you have low-carb. And so you can imagine this spectrum of all these diets, keto and carnivore and like ultra-low-carb, and then kind of head across a spectrum, paleo and ancestral and primal, and then we get into kind of middle sort of zones like Mediterranean eating. Every type of philosophy, vegetarian and veganism, and a whole spectrum, right? But think about what all the diets communicate, right? Eat. Like, you got to eat this, you got to eat this, keep eating. And like, no matter what the dietary process is, it is always telling you to eat. No one questions this basic assumption, like that we should be eating all the time. And increasingly where I have settled is that like we've just really missed the focus of all of this. You want to take weight to a really different place. Changing the frequency of when we're eating, I think, is the most important variable. Creating open space without food, the most direct and powerful way to lose weight. It's also the most physiologic in the body. The body saves energy for us. And I mean, tell me what you think. I think a lot of times we wish that it didn't. Like we don't need this radical efficiency of the body. Like, does every extra scrap that we take in really have to be stored away? Wouldn't it be nice if there was a button where we say, just like bypass that mode for a little while? But it's not how it works. We have this system for us that wants to save every bit of extra energy that it can. And so that it can fill in the gaps when we run out of food, a very helpful survival mechanism. I sometimes describe the human system as a survival machine. It's like human beings survive and thrive. And the metabolism that we have is one of the big reasons why we can exist. You can think about this spectrum that we've been saying, all the different types of diets. A human being can thrive on just incredibly diverse types of foods. Like I was watching a few months ago a YouTube debate between a carnivore and a vegan, someone who eats only meat and someone who never would touch it. And the thing that I was reflecting on as I'm watching these two people, both these people look strong and healthy. They're both sitting here having a debate in there. They all have energy. And I'm like, this is kind of amazing that these people are eating as radically different a diet as this. And they're all fine, you know? And I was like, I thought that was fascinating. So to me, when you think about that, fasting is like a lens that can take all of these different colored beams of light and just focus them in on actually what's really important. You want to gain weight, you need to eat more, right? This is a simple sort of thing. Someone comes in, and sometimes people need to gain weight. Someone is underweight, malnourished, or they're an athlete and they're trying to bulk up, you know. I say, you need to eat more and more frequently. It's going to help you gain weight. Like, everybody recognizes that, right? And but yet the inverse is hard for people to get their mind around. Everybody recognizes, okay, you want to gain weight, eat more and more frequently. But to tell somebody, oh, you want to lose weight, people don't even like to talk about that, I think. Say, actually eating less and less frequently, probably the most important part. That less frequently, lower frequency of eating times or meals, cutting out snacks, these sort of things. Not just the calories that it's opening up, but opening up that food-free space is having hormonal effects on our body, and those hormonal effects are very positive. I think we have tended to, sometimes I've described like the past decades of like people trying to lose weight in this country as like the calorie era. Calories very important. Calories are a real thing, and how many calories we get, you know, absolutely it does make a difference. But it's not the only variable. We've tended to treat it as the only thing that matters. Like, just dial in how many calories you'll get in a day, and as long as that is in the right place, like you're going to be fine. But like, have you ever tried that? Like, pretty much anybody who has tried a traditional diet, which I would describe a traditional diet as, you know, any of these things that we've run through, picking your, you know, profile of types of foods you're going to eat. Lose weight by trying to eat in that way, like with no gaps, like, but maybe cut the total calories, but never have fasting, you know? That is a very difficult way to lose weight if it's possible at all in the long term. Most people, I think I had a stat, was it just last week? A survey that was looking at 90% of people who go on a dietary process to lose weight have regained it, you know, over some time, like a year or so. So most people go through this pattern of a dip and a regain, which is just so frustrating. And so there's a lot of evidence, okay? And we can maybe dive into the papers at some point if people want. A lot of cycling of weight. And so a big thing that I've tried to help people do in my practice here on the channel, break out of this sort of cycle. And that's how I started getting into fasting myself personally, to personally get out of a cycle that I was developing of weight gain that came from my residency program. And then as a primary care doctor, I'm sitting, everybody's struggling. You know, I never knew about fasting. Nobody taught me about fasting in medical school. And I spent, you know, a good 5 or more years in medical practice trying to help people lose weight, giving people lots of weight loss medications, telling people to exercise more and cut their calories. And I never really had a lot of significant success doing that. And I had a lot of frustrating interactions with people about it, where people had initial success and then it stopped, and then people gain weight again. I say, we have got to break out of this type of cycle. Break out of the cycle. And then fasting came to me like, it was like a gift that came to me, because then I start to see like all these benefits are coming to people. Like, this is totally out of the box. This is like a whole nother variable. We've been stuck in this calorie era. And all of a sudden it's like, look, here's another thing that we can modify. Like how many times actually we're eating for the same calories, and then like you start talking with people, it's like it seems to make a difference. like how revolutionary. And then it's like a puzzle piece. It just kind of fits a bunch of pieces together. Do you ever put together a puzzle and say you can't see, but you get one piece, and then it's like, oh, like this is starting to make sense here. There's a lot of literature subsequently. Now I feel like, yeah, people recognizing that there's real hormonal benefits. That's the thing. If you just sit there, I was listening to a lecture the other day where, someone was trying to argue, no, the only thing that matters is calories. It doesn't matter anything else. The guy was arguing that you could just sit around and eat ice cream all day as long as you kept your calories in the right line, and then you would be fine. And then the other person was saying it's just ridiculous, and it is ridiculous. Even if it was true in the short term, within some number of days, it's changing our insulin, right? So especially ice cream, right? You're getting tons of sugar in there, and that is sending the signal into the body, hey, take whatever energy you have and store that away. And insulin, what people don't realize, people understand, okay, insulin's helping us get our blood sugar down. They don't realize that it does it by jamming the energy inside of our body fat cells. That's the physiologic process of how we gain weight, is that hormones are telling the body, like, hey, we need to be in a zone where we're taking energy that we're getting in and storing it away. And people don't realize then also that the metabolism is dynamic. How many calories we're burning is dynamic and is in large measure determined by what's called our basal metabolic rate. So the basal metabolic rate is like how much energy are we burning, like just sitting here, like we don't move. And there's all this stuff is happening in the body, like not the least of which is that this is like a furnace that is running, is 98 degrees in here and 70, 1 degrees out here. That is energy that is running, and it's always being released from the body, but the body can tone that down a little bit, right? And all these other things, heart beating, lungs breathing, hamster wheels, turning all the time. And so you start sitting in that space, body can tone that down. That's why so many times, have you experienced this? If you're feeling sluggish, people get in this low energy state. This is what is troublesome about the calorie-only paradigm, not recognizing the hormones. We create this disconnect in the body between what we're trying to do and the way the body is working. And then that is what can leave us feeling in such a frustrated, sort of low energy sort of state. If we're creating a hormonal environment in the body where we're telling the body storage mode has got to be happening, we don't be accessing this energy, the stored energy, but then we're also not getting enough to run the system, then we're kind of stuck in this metabolic netherworld where it's like we don't really have access to the stored energy. We're not kind of getting enough energy to run the system. Breaking out of that. Fasting is what can help you break out of that. Finding the balance where we're able to open up enough space to let our insulin level drop, get all the excess blood sugar out, and allow the body to release other hormones that people don't know anything about, adiponectin and crazy named things, that are the counter-regulatory hormones. People get insulin, okay, insulin drive the energy into the storage, okay, but there are these other hormones that come out and suck the energy back out and release it, and then you can, run off of it, and then that is the process of how you actually lose weight and burn off body fat. You primarily get those hormones in a fasting state, and that's what is so amazing. We are in an era which, has both good and bad things to it. We can create synthetic peptide hormones in the body, like GLP-1s, that can help to boost this sort of situation. Fascinatingly, many foods that we eat and a fasting space, we can, and increasing our microbiome and exercise, like all these good natural things, actually boosting GLP-1s, so many hormones in the body benefited by all these things. But I think what a GLP-1 experience can, show us, okay, hormones have a powerful effect on the body, right? They change our appetite, how we feel, all these sort of things. And so we want to create that sort of environment in the body where we give enough space. Say, let's create some of these hormones naturally in the body for free, where we're telling the body, hey, look, you did us a really big favor. You stored away this extra energy for us. And it's time to use it. It's like, let's open that up. How much we exercise is kind of like a throttle, on how fast we get there. Like if you're really active, it's not going to take you as long to get to that place. If you are not very active, okay, it's going to take longer. Like basically while the heart and diaphragm are doing all the work of burning through the energy to get to that place. So somebody who's really dialed in on it, maybe it doesn't even take 16 hours of fasting. People say 16-8, like a classic fasting sort of window, where you're eating twice in a day in an 8-hour window, and then you've got the 16 hours free. If you're super active in that, maybe you burn through excess energy and you get in that space much sooner, and then that's great. Other people say, hey, I'm not in a place to do that. I always tell people, I'm a big exerciser, but I never push exercise on anybody. I just say, I want people to do the amount of exercise that they want to do, right? If you're pushing yourself into an exercise state that you hate, then you're going to be stressed. And then that's very counterproductive. When we're stressed out, this is another thing about creating a hormonal cycle that is virtuous. When we're stressed out and angry and tense and all these sort of things, and our stress hormones are pouring out and our cortisol level is rising, that's directly releasing sugar into the system. It's raising insulin. Okay, that's not setting up a dynamic that is a healthy road to weight loss. So exercise to the amount that you feel good, that you like to do, is helping to bring your energy up. That's actually stress relieving, stress reducing. Then that feeds into this whole cycle. And so you're trying to lose weight. You don't have to eat. This is the mindset that I want to get us to. My little rambling about it is to say, for so long we've focused only on all these eating patterns. We can unwind that process and get back to something much simpler. We can recognize the body is strong and powerful. It has reserve energy for us. The situation that we are in that is so frustrating, where we say, I can't control my own body. I want the weight to be here. I can't get it there. Okay, we can say, hey, look, this is a resource. This is something that my body's done to help me. Doesn't feel that way right now, but I can see is helping me. Now I'm going to lean into it. I'm going to trust the body, open up space, let the body work. Two situations I'm seeing in my mind right now where our current weight loss thinking just guilt trips people and puts so much blame and stress on people. We feel like the body is broken, okay? We feel like you're overweight. We label that a disease. I loved that session I went through the other week. Is obesity really a disease? Like the pro argument for it, so many people make, is that by calling it a disease, we take away people's responsibility, like that they caused it, and therefore we do less shaming of people about weight. Now, I really respect, that thought. Of course, we need to do anything we can to not create discouraging environments for people. And so I do like that part of it. But the more I've talked to people and thought about it, I don't think it's true, because I don't think it's really a disease. I just think that's the truth. And labeling people as diseased increasingly for a normal function of the body is functioning normally, I think. We have an abnormal environment. Okay, the food environment that we're in, the social and stress and all this stuff, that environment is not normal. And so we are all struggling as human beings to figure out, how do we interact and be healthy in this environment with synthetic food and highly processed stuff? Like, that is difficult. But to me, that mindset, tell me if you disagree, I'd change my mind. But to me, it seems pretty clear, like just labeling normal functions of the body as a disease is not making us healthier. And I don't think that it's thoughtful, okay? So this is a way that I think my best effort to try to create a thoughtful yet effective environment where we're showing people like, hey, actually, you don't have to feel bad about this. You're not broken or diseased. Like, we just have to learn how to run this machine in the way that it is designed to do. And to me, that feels like a thoughtful way to approach it. Yeah, and then the other way that we make people feel bad is like, or that we make ourselves feel bad, is we feel guilty for not eating when we're trying to lose weight. Because we have this culture that is a consumption culture. It is always telling us, like, hey, you have got to be eating. And then if you're not eating, then we're like guilt tripping people like, oh, you're starving yourself. That's like a very common theme that I hear for people out there. And then that is bad. Well, this is a type of language that I would never use. Okay, this is not thoughtful language. So I was talking with a friend at a coffee shop once last year, I think, who had been doing some relief work in a very impoverished community in Bolivia of people who are actually starving. Okay, and it's like, and then we were talking about weight loss and all these things, and it's like when you work with people who are truly hungry, right? Who are trying to eat to stay alive, like, and you start to think like our use of the word starving in such a place is so inappropriate, and there's something that is even like offensive, I think. To be in a situation where you need to lose weight, to not eat actually is one of the very primary ways to actually lose weight. To not eat. It's like, it's the purpose of the weight is there to support the system and help us thrive in a space where we don't have food. It's actually a beautiful system. It's an incredible resource. And to go through the process of doing that, to open up space and trust the body and use that energy, that is a normal physiologic process, and it's healthy and it's good for the body. And to go through that cycle, many good things happening in the body. And so I want to tell people, like, okay, don't listen to people who are using this language to guilt trip people about starving yourself, okay? Like, if you need to lose weight, okay, by definition, you are not starving, okay? Like, let's just, like, think about it, like, honestly. And, you know, I've given many talks, and sometimes I talk with people, you know, in a big audience, you know, if there's 100 or 200 people there, you know, just statistically, there's going to be people in the audience who are struggling or have struggled at some point with an eating disorder like anorexia or bulimia. And I always want to be very open and acknowledge that. Like, and that many times people in that audience are people who have struggled by actually starving themselves, okay? Someone who is struggling with anorexia is literally starving, and people starve to death. And that is a terrible, terrible situation, okay? And so I always want to be very sensitive to people who have had something like that. Taking the fraction, though, of people, a tiny fraction of people who we have to have extreme compassion for and help, okay? And applying that to every person who is not in that scenario, who needs to know that it's actually okay to not eat all the time, right? That is the type of mindset that we need to have. There is no one-size-fits-all eating program that works for the radical diversity of situations that people face. And so I think part of the reason that we are in this situation of not having guilt about not eating is people feel like, oh, well, if you're just not eating, you're developing habits and patterns that look like anorexia. And that's true. I would say it is true. Like, it's just, how are you thoughtfully applying the physiology of the body in an appropriate way, okay? If you look, I think pretty much every single video that I have on this channel, every live thing, I've got a link to a video on the contraindications to fasting, the reasons not to do it, right? Reasons not to do fasting, the first one I put up there is you don't want to do it, right? Can never be forced, right? You never force yourself, bad idea, force someone else, no force. It can't be fasting. In my mind, you can't define something as fasting is a voluntary thing if it is forced. And then the second reason, like if you're underweight or malnourished, like we're in a total zone. See, that you can't really define as fasting either, really. That's more in the starving sort of zone. So once we realize, okay, these are different things, right? Then you can get to this place where you realize if you need to lose weight, you don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to feel societal shame or pressure to do something that is just a normal, natural function of the body. And I hope that can be an encouragement to you. I don't know if you have felt that way, if you are listening. But I've definitely talked to a lot of people who have said, hey, like, that feels like a burden lifted off the shoulders, because like sometimes people are like, okay, I get that there's this fasting space, but even subconsciously, because we're all part of this culture, like we all feel these pressures. There's so much pressure to eat in certain ways and all these kind of collective feelings that you can feel like, oh, this is really pushing me in a difficult sort of space. Hey, you can just take a deep breath. You can let go of all that. And you can know, like, hey, actually, everything is okay. Everything is okay, and I'm going to be okay. Like, body is here. This is normal physiology of the body. We're not doing something strange or dangerous, Yeah. And then you can work with the body. I like the idea, I've said a number of times on the channel, like when you are struggling to lose weight in a spot where you're working on it and it's not really jiving, then you can feel this disconnection with the body. It can be very aggravating, frustrating. Our body, like we are our body, we're not different, but like kind of, I like the idea of thinking of it like a partnership. Like, how do we form a partnership with the body where we're working together to accomplish our common purpose, right? We are working toward weight loss, right? We have a goal. We want, number on the scale go down, right? Body is sitting here. If we are to kind of, personify or separate it, body just wants us to stay alive till next month if disaster strikes. So we're having this negotiation. We're setting the course. We need to head in the right direction. And sometimes I like, okay, a negotiation that's got a little tension in it. I like dance also. It's kind of like a dance. Dance more positive, fun. Our eating, our activity, our fasting space, it's like a dance with the body. Oh, I like the dance. That's feeling good because dance is like a rhythm, right? And having a rhythm and a routine, right? This is something in my experience with people really help people move in a good direction. Getting in a groove, right? Getting in a groove and a positive direction, in a rhythm and a routine. So fasting can definitely be like that. So if you get in that mindset, say we don't have to eat. I put in the title here, I put have to in like caps, because of course that's implying like people like shouting at you, like you have to keep doing it. No. Now, of course, I argue with myself on it. We do have to eat on some frequency, okay? So I'm not saying like, oh, you never have to eat. And simple fasting, the whole thing I'm trying to outline for you, is not about extreme fasting. It's not about, oh, we're going weeks without food. You do have to eat at some point. I'm just saying in the short term, you don't have to eat on the societally expected frequency where we're getting, 3 meals every day plus snacks, and we're filling in every space with food all the time. You don't have to do that. You can deviate, including significant deviation from it, and health can improve. Absolutely. Don't have to eat right in the moment. Don't have to eat if you're feeling hungry right at any moment. Have you had times where you've experienced that, right? Where it's like, okay, I'm feeling hungry. It's okay, you don't have to eat. You don't have to feel pressure. Body's got this. When you are feeling hungry, you're saying, I'm trying to lose weight though, but I'm feeling hungry. Okay, I would absolutely resonate with you. That can be a difficult space to sit in. See, it can feel like, man, I need to eat. But I tell you, you don't have to. Talk with your doctor, review your medical situation, of course. If someone has type 2 diabetes, if someone has blood sugar problems, can your blood sugar drop too low? If your blood sugar is low, might you have to eat? Yes, you should eat. So there would be a caveat. But assuming normal physiology in the body, if you're feeling hungry and then you don't eat, that is actually the process, right? Just think about it. And this is where the rubber really meets the road, okay? If someone is stuck in a cycle, struggling to lose weight, this is how people get trapped in cycles of having to eat all the time. And then this is how you work your way out, all right? You're taking things right into that place where you say, I normally would eat. We develop rigid thinking and say, I have to eat. And then this is that spot right there where we actually, no, in that place, you don't have to eat. And when you don't do it and you work through that space, that is actually teaching the body, is actually training the body. No, this is what we're going to do instead, right? This is part of the dance. Our cognitive centers, right? Our direction. This is like steering the ship, saying, where are we going to go, right? And we're saying, no, we're going to chart a different course, right? Body's in conservation mode. Body is saying, we like the reserves here because body's taking the gamble. We would rather, it's not that the body is always better off in the long term having a lot of extra body fat, right? And the body knows that. But the body's taking the gamble in the short term when we say, we've got this extra energy here, let's save it, even if it won't help us, with our 30-year heart attack risk, okay? It's gonna help us get through the next month if there's a disaster. So that's the thing. Now we got the negotiation with the body. We're saying, hey, look, actually, we're gonna start prioritizing our long-term planning. We don't need this in the short term. Let's use it in this space. And then the body's like, oh, it's tough, okay? And so then that's the barrier to get through it, is to say you have to pass through that hunger space. That's why I put this fasting space series on the channel of like these videos that are just like thoughtful music, meditation. Is like, okay, our body is built on a pattern. It's producing these hormones that make us feel hungry, especially when we're going to be eating. So you want to get through that space. A hunger experience, almost always, tell me your experience, 60 to 90 minutes, because that's a half-life of this hormone that is making us feel that way. You got to ride that wave out, right? I describe it like a wave. It kind of crashes on the shore. The biggest wave has that peak wave. That's like that peak hunger experience. And then it will diminish. And so making it through that, it's usually less intense as time goes on. You're training the body. Hey, look, we made it through that. Actually, everything's fine. What the body's doing in there, I always personify a picture like some cells like waving a white flag, like, hey, like, where is the food? We were expecting the food. And other cells like, hey, it's okay. Like, look, we got these reserves over here. Like, we could use that. They're like, should we do it? We don't know. There's like this confusion. But then as you work through it, then the body's like, the guy who's like freaking out is like, yeah, I think we actually should. And then everybody gets to work and they're bringing out the energy, right? Because have you had it where you went to work, but you forgot lunch or you got busy and then you worked through lunch And it's like maybe you were hungry, but you couldn't eat, and then you were busy, and all of a sudden it's 3 o'clock, and then it's like you're not so hungry anymore, right? And you got plenty of energy, and like everything is okay, right? So finding a pleasant distraction, helping you get through that, okay? Then you get through to the other side. Now think what happened, okay? You didn't get your 500 calories at lunch, but like you're still okay. Now the hunger is gone, or at least less, and you're still running on the system, right? So you just opened up a fasting space. You made it through a hunger wave sometimes without even trying. Like many people, is like people weren't trying to be fasting. They just got into a situation at work or something where, where they couldn't eat. And then this physiology just happened and you're not even really paying attention, right? And so a voluntary practice, a fasting practice, is basically like recreating that experience in the body, like when we want it, like not on accident, but actually planning for it. And that's what I encourage people to do. Just say, plan for it. Build a routine and a lifestyle that supports it, that creates an environment where it makes it as easy as possible to do it. I certainly never tell anybody that it's easy to do in this society. I mean, our society, we're surrounded by food everywhere we go, right? And it's marketed and pushed. It's not just like there's discrete little bins where you could get some food if you wanted. It's like pushed out, with bright lights. And so you have to be really thoughtful. You want to head in a different direction than the culture, right? The culture not doing very well. This is a culture that is really struggling with keeping weight in a good place. We got to build our own microculture, right? That's what I want this channel to be. People come together, support each other, moving in a direction that is different from that. And in a very thoughtful sort of way. So create that environment, that routine, okay? Building that dance with the body. And you guys feel like any type of dance, right? It's clumsy at first. Like, you're stepping on your partner's feet and it's it can still be fun, right? But not maybe graceful and elegant like you wish it would be. But as you do it, then you gain skill with it. The first time's usually the hardest. And then as you work on it, you build out the practice of doing it. So I didn't call it easy fasting, because I never tell someone it's easy. It's actually can be very difficult to go through a hunger space and say don't do it when we have all the social pressure to do it. And we feel the physiology in the body where the body's like, what is going on? And we're not used to it, all right? But to go through that space, that's why I call it a strength. That's why I love the weightlifting analogy. Like someone wants to lift big, heavy weights, you got to be very strong to do that. You got to start with little weights, and then you build up the strength. That's why fasting is like that, because it's can be difficult, and it can be a challenge. And therefore, it's something that you should approach very thoughtfully and calmly. Start with little bits of it, like lifting little weights, and you will strengthen the body, strengthen the metabolism, and give the body greater strength and ability to handle a food-free space. The goal of a fasting-based practice, even though I say, okay, I didn't call it easy, it is simple, right? It is simple. Eat once and then eat again, twice in a day, but no more. You don't have to eat more than that. And in fact, you probably shouldn't. I'm not giving medical advice to anybody, but I tell you, you probably shouldn't if you are trying to eat less and lose weight. Eating less all the time, not the way that triggers the physiology in the body that I'm saying. Eating little bits all the time, keeping our hunger systems going all the time, leaving us frustrated all the time because like you eat a little bit. Is this your experience? That's the Pringles commercial. I bet you can't eat just one. You eat one little chip, it's like, where is the rest? Like it turns the system on. This is why fasting, while I never say easy, the goal is to make it easy. Okay? The goal is that it would become easy. The goal is not to leave someone in some never-ending space where it's difficult all the time and you just have to power through with some brute force day after day, and that's what life is from now on. See, that wouldn't be sustainable, okay? The goal is strength and control and empowerment, right? Where as you teach the body, you're doing this dance with the body, you're teaching the body, hey, we are strong. We can learn how to access this energy. And the more we do it, the stronger you get at it. And getting stronger at fasting looks like the intensity being less. It looks like, hey, it's not such a big deal. Like actually we can do this. We've done this 50 times before and it was okay. And everything's going to be okay. And that is when the process can start fading into the background. You see, when you just start with a fasting practice, you say, this is very intense. This is not like anything that I've ever done. And it feels different and strange. And you're like, is it even okay? Yeah, it's okay. And when things start fading into the background, it's like, it's not really a diet, This is a lifestyle. It's like something like, I'm just a person that, I get up and I have a coffee and I just carry on. That's what I do basically almost all the time. I never even think about it, right? And I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people who've gotten to a place where they're like, it's just what I do, People land at a different place, Some people, 2 meals in a day just gets them right on a sweet course where it's like, it's all they have to do. Other people have to dial in further on it, where they're doing a lot more 1 meals. I wish I knew in exact detail why one person can go years eating 1 meal a day and other persons 2. And, there's a lot of variables. This is what I'm trying to show people. It's not just calories. That's what we said. It's not just the calories. There's a lot going on in the body with our metabolism and our hormones to determine how all the calories are used. The good news is that you don't have to know all of these things. You can just slowly, gently, thoughtfully lean into it, like the weightlifting program. Start increasing that fasting interval. Start realizing I don't have to eat here. I see that. And you can open up the amount of fasting space that feels good. You don't ever have to push it to a place where you feel unwell, where you feel weak, where you're overloading the body. You just take it to a space where you say, body's like, I think this is about what I've got today, And you can end it. That's why it's voluntary. You end it anytime you want. But the more you are, I always encourage people, keep the thoughts very positive, because our thinking about it is what is guiding the process, right? If we are thinking negative thoughts that are like, oh God, this is going to be so hard. I don't know if I can do it. And, I think I might feel unwell. You're going to go a long way toward creating that sort of process. The type of thinking that you want is, hey, I have an opportunity today to strengthen my metabolism and to increase my resiliency and ability to run this system based on the energy that's inside of me. That is an incredible opportunity. I do want people to see that. It's an incredible opportunity. I just want people to see it. All the struggle with weight in the country, I just want to tell people, we have an incredible opportunity, actually. Right here, right now, we have the opportunity to turn a new page and start trusting the body and start recognizing, hey, there is this totally normal physiology that you can start to teach the body and learn how to do right now today, just as much as you want. Think of all the stress. Think of, oh my God. And then everybody oh, I'm going to do South Beach now and it's going to fix everything, okay? I'm going to do all these things, right? But it's can we just trust the body and give this space? Yes, do a South Beach, okay? Do a Whole30, do a keto, do a vegan diet, do whatever you want, basically. The thing that all the diets that I've listed, the thing they all have in common is they cut out processed food. And there are probably 50 different diets that are across an incredible spectrum of different types of eating that I would say all are great. because they all cut out processed food. And so if you just cut out the processed food, and whether you eat meat or fish or eggs or vegetables only or like whatever, okay, then take the fasting lens to whatever you want. Pick a different one every month. I don't care. I work with anybody. I say, cut out the processed foods, eat healthy foods that you like, and then take this lens of fasting. Filter your eating through a process that is opening up enough fasting space to get the results you want. If you can open up 16 hours in a day, and that is helping you slowly and steadily move toward your goal, beautiful. If you need more power, start dialing in those 2 meals closer together. Maybe you don't have to flip all the way till 1 meal a day, but you can bring those closer, and maybe at some point that starts working, and you don't have to do it every day. But maybe you do. Maybe you start throwing in 1 meal days. Learn how to do it. And what if that wasn't enough? To fast for a day. That's pretty much the end of a simple fasting. Take a day and fast. Grab a coffee or tea. Maybe you do some extra coffees or teas. Have water. And then use some fasting aids. So here would be some crutches. I should make a video dialing in on this specifically. Okay, here would be crutches. You're trying to practice fasting, but you say, it's difficult. It feels hard. I can't quite do it. How do you bridge the gap? So here would be some things. So squeezing some lemon or lime in a water, by the way, that's totally fine. Adding in chia seeds, that's something that can be very nice. Chia have a little bit of protein, a little bit of carbs, a lot of fiber. They expand, especially as you're digesting them. But you throw a little lime, some chia, you mix it, that can be a very pleasant drink. Not pure fasting, but you say a very natural, unprocessed, something that helped get you through it. And you say, so what if, you say, well, I'm normally eating lunch, but it's just too intense. Like I try to go without it and then I feel unwell. I love that one. A little chia and lime and water down that. What if that gets you through and you get in a routine of that? What if it was never pure fasting, but it started working for you and you started losing weight? May very well. I've seen that. So I'm definitely not a perfectionist. At least I try not to be. I always tell people good enough. We're just looking for good enough. We want anything that's good enough to get the results that we want. And then we'll call that good enough. What if you did that for some number of weeks and then you didn't have to do it anymore because the body strengthened with it? And so you used it as a crutch to get you through a space. It's like training wheels on the bike, right? So I like that analogy. What are the training wheels you can use to help you become more proficient at using fasting? Fasting a skill, many times I've tell people it is a skill. What if you could learn one more skill in your life? Might you be best served if that skill was fasting? To become proficient at fasting is basically the skill of being able to set your body weight anywhere that you want. Pat is here. Yes, a video on crutches would be very helpful. Thank you. Why don't I've wanted to do it for so long. I'm going to write it on my to-do list for the week, and I will just commit to you. I will do it. God, it's hard to do because I have so much to do. I will do it this week. Crutches video is going on the top of my list for this week. We're going to get it done. And in that video, okay, the chia with lemon or lime, love that. Fiber supplement of any kind is good. So Metamucil, people are familiar with, like a psyllium fiber supplement. Have you ever taken a Metamucil? Maybe you're taking it for GI purposes. You mix it up. Have you ever let the powder just sit in the water and see what happens to it? I always tell people, try to drink that right away, right? You let it sit there for 5 minutes, it turns into this big goopy sludge and it expands, right? That's what it's doing inside you. That's why it helped normalize everything in the GI system. But that'd fill you up, right? No calories in a psyllium fiber. So most Metamucil brand products and things like that have either sugar or artificial sweeteners in them. And so I encourage people, although it's not optimal, I encourage people, you can order products that are just psyllium fiber. They're kind of like chalky. They're not as good. I mean, they put the sugar in the thing so they taste better, some orange, flavoring. So step one, if you can't handle just a plain psyllium fiber, a little artificial sweetener is not the end of the world. It's not, recommended, but maybe it's good enough. Or if you have the psyllium fiber, maybe you're just throwing that in with your lemon and other stuff, or lime in your water, and you kind of like mix it. So it depends on how like purist you want to be. If you're like, I don't care about some artificial sweetener for a little while, and maybe that's fine. It can work. So you're feeling hungry. You're saying, I'm right at this place. I'm trying to fast, but it's just, I just can't quite make it through. A fiber supplement going to help give you that physical feeling of being more full. Sometimes that can be just a normal, like, weight loss aid. Like, try taking a fiber supplement like that before you eat dinner, and then see if you can eat as much. I mean, you won't be able to do it. So if you're trying to eat, it's going to fill you up with no calories, giving you a bunch of fiber. It'll help you eat less, at a meal that you're planning on eating. Well, the same thing can help you if you're trying to fast. Take a fiber supplement. It's going to fill you up. You drink a whole glass. I like, for this purpose, you can buy them as capsules. I like the powder better. It doesn't, some people don't like drinking all this stuff. Capsule's fine too. But try taking a bunch of some amount of a fiber supplement, and then wait, 10 minutes. It's going to help you through that wave, right? You're going to sit there and be like, oh, it's not so bad now, right? I'm feeling more full. And then plus, whether you're drinking the thing or you're taking the capsules, you need a lot of water either way. A lot of what we experience as hunger is actually thirst. And so you're hitting multiple points by taking the fiber supplement. You're physically filling yourself up. You're getting a lot of water. Water is hitting our hydration centers. It's telling the brain, hey, we're getting enough water in here. And so that is absolutely going to help you through. And then another great fasting aid is broth of some kind. So broth is great. Doesn't matter what kind. Could be bone broth, chicken, beef broth, could be vegetable broth. But broth going to give you a little salt. Like, there's another thing. So salt is very satiating. Sometimes people just throw a pinch of salt in water, and then they say that really hits the hunger. I don't really like drinking salty water. I've never really resonated that, but broth is kind of getting there. Broth, especially if you don't get the low sodium one, if you are okay on the blood pressure. You get kind of some salt in there, help you feel satisfied. You're getting the fluid. Most broth, especially a bone broth's got some fats in there, some protein, and that is all satiating. So, it's also kind of a comfort food. So we've talked in the past, sometimes you just want the comfort food and, something warm and soothing to help you feel better. If someone is in that sort of space, I say, well, broth is a really good way to do it. You say, I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to practice fasting, but I'm stressed and I'm feeling hungry. Okay, so having a broth, you can sip on it or you eat it or whatever. It's hitting, it's tasty, You say, oh, this tastes good. This is a comfort food. I'm feeling better. And you say, okay, it's not pure fasting, okay? But it might be good enough. And yes, broth is a faster's friend for sure. Absolutely. Picture the situation. You're eating twice in a day or whatever, or it could be you're doing OMAD and you're having your one meal. You say it's not working enough, right? Not really moving forward. So you say, now we have to take the next step. Okay, let's say we've dieted all the way to OMAD. We're eating once in a day. We're trying to enjoy that meal. What if you get to that place and you're still not losing weight? Now, let me just recognize, that is a frustrating situation. And that is a frustrating situation that still can happen to people. And it's very fascinating to think about, actually. If I were to estimate out of the, who even knows, hundreds and hundreds of people that I worked with fasting, there's probably thousands, but I don't keep track. How many people are getting to OMAD and not losing weight? Like the fraction, we got to be in the 5% zone, 5 to, I don't know, can't be more than 10, 5 to 10% of people only. So if you're in there, I just would recognize, like, have some compassion with yourself in that situation and recognize to dial your eating all the way down to that point is really a powerful and intense move. And think of all the people, like we've gone through in this whole talk today, all the different types of diets, the millions and millions of books that people are buying on every different type of diet, and they're doing it and doing it. Think how much power you have dialed in beyond that to dial all the eating into that point. And, sometimes I just have sat with people in that space and to say, like, it doesn't feel fair, right? It doesn't feel fair to say, look, I've done all this and I'm not getting the results that I want. I think that this is a really critical place, though, to recognize that maybe life isn't fair. Maybe there are certain reasons for things we don't fully understand. But, like, don't give up at that point. Because what I'll tell you, you're very, very close. Like, there is a level of this process that basically guaranteed will work, okay? Nobody's got nuclear reactor inside their body just generating infinite power. From a certain perspective, the person who is able to function on OMAD without losing weight at that place, like, just think what an incredible advantage this person actually is in, right? Start unwinding the thinking. Don't see it as a negative. Look at it as a resource. Look how incredibly efficient the system is. I mean, it's incredible when you start to think about it and you say, okay, I have some, like, 99th percentile metabolism that helped me survive and thrive in a really difficult situation. My body, like, really good at it, right? So this is part of the negotiation, part of the dance. And so when you see it that way, you can feel like it can help to diminish the frustration and the anger about the situation and say, it's just the reality. Because, like, whatever it is, you say, the reality is here. I never want someone to give up in that sort of place. Because it's like, okay, if you are in a situation where you're doing OMAD and you're not losing weight, like, you don't have very many alternatives, right? If you see what I'm saying. There's not very many alternatives. You can take all the Ozempic in the world that you want. All it can help you do is help you to eat less. And if you're already in that place, right? Here's all the other dials you can turn, right? Dialing in exercise, absolutely you can do it. What exactly are you eating in that meal? Okay, so I'm trying to build out that space. But within there, assuming you're in that space, you're eating healthy food, you're doing these things, you say, I need to increase the intensity. Sometimes it's just for a period of time to break out of the situation. Doesn't mean you have to do it forever, but you say, I'm going to step to opening up that full fasting space. Here's where I'm trying to set up broth as a thing that can help you to do it, right? You say, it's too intense. If I don't eat something, I can't go to bed, right? I'm just lying in bed feeling hungry. It's too stressful. Then I'm getting stressed and overwhelmed. See, we don't want that. We want to stay away from that. So how do we bridge that gap? Broth is like a big go-to. You could have 1 cup of it. You could have 10. I don't really, really care, because, how many calories are you getting in broth? A full serving, you say, do you get 70 calories or something like that? Especially those types of calories, proteins and fats, they aren't spiking up insulin. They are not sending messages to the body like, okay, if the insulin is not spiking up, then it's not blocking access to the body fat. Don't feel bad about doing it in any way. See, everything I've tried to repeat this whole time, try never to feel bad basically about anything. Just learn from a situation and enjoy it. So there's something like someone said, I'm trying to do a fasting day and I couldn't do it, then people immediately feel discouraged. No, right? Don't feel discouraged. Turn that around and say, hey, look what I did. I gave this a shot and I got to this place and this is where I am. And then have a nice treat. What if that treat could be a broth? And you said, man, I fasted in this whole day. And then think how good this broth is tasting. And you're getting those tasty fats in there. You're getting some healthy protein, some salty. You're hydrating. And let's say you finish one bowl of that and you aren't feeling satisfied, have a second or a third, right? And by the end of the thing, the end of the third one, maybe you've had 160 calories. And then you're like, I feel pretty good now. And maybe you can just carry on with the rest of a pleasant evening and go to bed. And see, that could bridge that space, right? Like if you had a whole day where you fasted and then you had 180 calories of broth that had some fats and proteins, but low carb, and your insulin stayed low, and maybe you kept burning fat all night, it's very close to fasting. That's why I say, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, right? If you can get in a space like that, you can lose a lot of weight that way. Absolutely. What if you never were able to fast a whole day, but you could bridge it with some broth like that, and it worked? I say, I only care about what works. But what you're likely to experience is that's like training wheels, and you get in the zone of doing that for a while, then that can bring you a long way down the road. And then what if it took 6 months? Like who cares? Like there's nothing wrong with that. You use the training wheels for 6 months and then you're riding the bike. Like that's fine. Or a year. I mean, it is like it's life is short, but like also not, right? A year. So just keep the direction moving in the right way. A little bit better every day. I like that. Have you ever seen a video, type one up, like 1% better every day? Like you cannot basically perceive a 1% improvement in something. But if 1% and then you start compounding it, by the end of the year, you're like 300% better or something like that. And so you're just looking for small, steady improvement in your ability to do it. You will be able to do it. So that's what I say. You will be able to increase the level of fasting if you want to do it, if you're leaning into it thoughtfully and finding enjoyment in the process. The average person hear about fasting and they think, oh God, like I want to stay far away from that, right? Because we're conditioned by our culture to think, well, that must be bad. We'll feel guilty about it. And then it just keeps everybody in this consumption cycle. But once we start to unwind it, like the first level is to just being open to it. And the next level is like to say like, we can tolerate it. But like the place where the magic, really happens in my view is when you come to enjoy it. And that's the goal. To come to enjoy fasting is like, that's when it fades into the background. It's like, it's not a struggle. It's not a chore. It's not something I have to do, right? It's either something that just is, it's just something that I do, or it's something that I get to do. And my interesting situation, I've been talking with people about fasting over a decade. I've done tons of fasting. It was very difficult for me to start doing. And then I gained proficiency with it, and then it became not a problem, and I could do it anytime I wanted to. And then it came to the place where I actually enjoy it. And that's the place where I am in right now. Interestingly, I mean, we're all in different situations. I run marathons. I bike hundreds of miles. Like, you have to eat a lot to do that. And because I've done tons of fasting personally, I've burned basically every scrap of body fat seemingly off my body. I have to eat a lot to be as active as I am. And so I do less fasting now than at almost any point in the last 10 years, but just because I'm so active. And the times when I do it, okay, well, I mean, I eat 2 meals most days. So, I mean, I guess to me, I've like done a lot of fasting. I'm not doing extended fasting. I'm doing these things. I do a lot of 2 meals a day. Keeps me in that space when I'm ultra active, sometimes I don't even like to do it, but I'll like add a meal. I like, man, I'm going to be so active. I need more energy. But once a month, personally, I will dial in on an extended fast, at least a day or even two. And I take that space just as a cleansing space, as a space to just let the GI system shut down, to really like dial in on mental health in that space. And it feels so good. And I look forward to it and I enjoy it. And if I could personally do it and maintain my weight in a strong, healthy place, I would do it. But that's about the frequency that I have dialed in at this point, 10 years in, is to say, okay, a lot of 2 meals a day, sometimes 3, like if I really need to dial in more energy, and then dialing in once a month or so of fasting to get these other benefits. Like maybe we dial in on some more sessions on this, the longevity benefits and good for the brain and just everything. Getting our, I've said it before, like so much of what our immune system is doing while we're eating is protecting us from foodborne illness. And so you shut that down, you let the immune system head off, cancer seek and destroy mode, getting that autophagy effect. See, I love that. I feel that. And that's what I want for people. So everybody who's here with me today, everybody listening to this session, my long-term goal for you, the thing that I think would be really beautiful to experience, is to train yourself up through a process of being open to fasting, to being able to tolerate it, having some benefits, and then getting to a level of it where it just feels joyful and positive. And then that you just feel it as like a rejuvenating experience in the body, and that it can bring you health and wellness and wholeness in the body. Use it as a tool to help you get the weight to a place where you really feel happy about and where you can control it by dialing in the amount of fasting that you need. That is my hope. So as we do that together, we keep going on these weekly sessions. Bring your questions and thoughts and experiences, things that you're struggling with. I'm happy to talk about it and answer it. And feel free to share good experiences, all this stuff. I really like the idea. Continue to build this space as a place where we can kind of have a touchstone for the week, center ourselves, and kind of gear up to move toward better health for the week. I'm going to take some of these thoughts and more this week. We'll see if we can get a nice fasting crutches video out. And I will see you all next Sunday. Have a great week, everybody.